Hey guys, Brandon here. If you're thinking about getting into rock climbing, I got great news. In this video, I'm going to show you what your first day at a climbing gym is going to look like. All right, so I want to start right off with saying I do apologize. It's been way too long since I've put out like a longer formatted video, but I'm actually really excited to be making this one right here. So, starting off with I think kind of the obvious one. If you're looking to get into climbing, is you probably need to find a climbing gym, okay? Most people I know, myself included, usually get introduced to climbing through somebody, friend, coworker, that sort of thing. But if you see it on social media, you've heard people talk about it, and you're kind of like you want to check it out. First thing you need to do, might seem a little obvious, is you need to find a climbing gym. Okay, I know it kind of depends on where you live. Some of you might have like a legitimate, purpose-built climbing gym not far from you. You might be like me; it's a little bit of a drive, not too unbearable. Some of you guys might be more remote, and you might be having to go outdoor climbing, or maybe you have a community center that has like a climbing wall. But whatever, think kind of obvious, you need to find a place to go climbing. The second thing is on the day you decide you want to go climbing, you go check it out. Wear comfortable workout style clothing. Okay, I see a lot of people at the gym wear jeans and a t-shirt. I personally don't find climbing in jeans that comfortable. That's just me. I'd recommend just wearing regular gym clothes, okay? Like a tank top and shorts, a t-shirt, and like sweatpants, whatever is comfortable, because especially your legs, you're gonna be doing a lot of like splitting and weird like lunging style movements. So something that's not real restrictive. I'm someone who gets hot pretty easily. So I like stuff that can help me kind of like cool off and regulate a good body temperature. But yeah, I'd wear just comfortable clothing. It's gonna get covered in chalk and sweat and stuff. So yeah, my opinion, wear comfortable, loose style clothing. What I would consider like the third thing, the next thing that's going to happen is when you find the gym, you put on your clothing, you're on your way to your gym to go climbing that day, is you're going to have a couple things. You're going to be paying a day fee, unless you get maybe like a promo, like maybe first time's free or whatever, but expect to pay your first timer's fee. It varies, usually 15, 20, 25 bucks. I tend to be in the norm. Unless you're in a populated area or it's a new gym, might be more, might be less. I don't know. Around here in the New England area, that's kind of the norm, is 15 to like maybe 25 bucks for your first time at the climbing gym. Maybe 30, but somewhere's within that window. But then you're also gonna have to sign a waiver, and the fee, the actually, I take that back. Your first timer's fee might be a little more expensive because you might have to pay for rental of climbing shoes and maybe a harness, possibly, depending on what you plan on doing, but definitely shoes, which are going to add to that cost. Not a lot, but do kind of like factor that in, okay? All right, so now that we talked about you found a climbing gym that you want to go to, or one that's, within a reasonable distance, you've got comfortable clothing, you've signed the waiver, you paid your day fee, you got your shoes on. Next thing that's going to happen is usually somebody is going to kind of show you around. More than likely, it's going to be a staff. They're going to just kind of show you the layout of the land, like, hey, bathrooms here, exits here, climbing up here, this is what this is, expecting, probably don't know a lot, just kind of give you a lay of the land. They're also going to talk about kind of just like the general types of climbing, which we're going to get into right now, which generally at most climbing gyms, not all of them, depending on how the building's set up, the 5 types of climbing you'll see in most gyms, at least within the States, this is kind of geared towards the United States, depending on where you're watching this from, is bouldering, top roping, auto belay, which is a kind of a form of top roping, lead climbing, and then board climbing are the 5 types, okay? So going through them real quick. Bouldering, when you see bouldering, you see it on any social media, or if you see it in person, it's the one where you start at the bottom, you climb walls that are generally between 10, 15, maybe 20 feet tall. And what you do is once you get to the top, you either down climb or you can just fall and land on the mats, okay? You're not climbing with any harnesses or ropes or anything like that. It's literally just you climbing, you get to the top, and then you just fall or down climb back to the bottom, okay? So that's bouldering. Top roping, you'll see it pretty common. It's the most introductory, I should say the easiest way to get into rope climbing, okay? Generally what happens is one person starts at the bottom, and then the rope is tied to the climber, goes up usually around a single or double pulley, and then comes back down to the belayer, okay? And the belayer is the person who manages the ropes and keeps you from falling and hitting the floor, okay? The benefit of that style is it's very simple, easy to use. But like if we'll get into that into a different video, a video that I plan on making later on about specific types of rope climbing. But if you see people climbing the walls where the rope goes way up to the top and then back down to them, that's top roping. And then I kind of mentioned what auto belaying was. Auto belaying is if you don't have somebody to climb with, like somebody to belay you. A lot of gyms have these. They basically look like a big circular style box with a black rope or strap that comes out of it, and then like they have like this triangle or anchoring system down on the floor. Basically what happens is you have your climbing harness on, you go up, you clip into it, and as you climb up, and then if there's a point where you need to fall off or you get to the top, you just let go and it slowly lowers you to the floor. Okay, it'd be a little intimidating when I first got into climbing, the sensation of you just fall off and then like you fall like a couple feet, and then the device engages and kind of lowers you to the floor. So if you try those and it kind of like you get a little nervous about it, don't feel bad. I got nervous about it too. But that's bouldering, top roping, and auto belaying. Then moving on to the fourth one I mentioned, lead climbing. Lead climbing, that's the one where I think climbing really can get opened up, okay? And what I mean by that is where you see people when they're climbing and they got the rope, it goes directly from the belayer to the climber, and as the climber is going up the wall, they're clipping in to things that look like carabiners. As they're climbing the wall, you clip in, and then they do like these weird routes that kind of snake. They go underneath maybe an overhang, then back up. That's called lead climbing, okay? It's a form of like sport climbing, okay? And as you're climbing, you get up to the top. Usually this is where you clip in, you communicate to your belayer, and then like you let go and they lower you to the floor, okay? Comparatively to top roping, learning how to lead climb and learning how to belay somebody lead climbing, definitely a little bit, I take that back. It's quite a bit more advanced. You really have to know what you're doing. You definitely have to know what you're doing with both forms of climbing, but especially with lead climbing, because the chances of making an error and hurting somebody are so much higher. Or like if you miss something, the chance of somebody getting very severely hurt definitely start going up with lead climbing. The trade-off is it's a lot more fun, okay? It's kind of like what I look at as like the motorcycle part of like climbing, okay? Yeah, the danger aspect definitely, especially if you're doing it outside, can go up, but the fun aspect of what you get to expose to definitely starts going up as well. And then the fifth thing that I'd mention is board climbing. Two most common types, at least that I've seen here in the States, are what are known as tension board and kilter board. So if you guys are at the climbing gym and you guys hear about climbers talking about things called tension or kilter boards, basically what they are is different size, like 12 by 12, 8 by 12 panels, flat panels, and they have all these holes all over them, and they light up differently. You'll see people climbing them. That's what those are, okay? That's kind of like the climbing phase that I'm personally in right now, at least as of recording this. I love board climbing, okay? Out of the 5 per grading, I find it to be the most difficult, but I definitely do enjoy it. So like I said, just a kind of quick recap. Once again, I'll make a video later on going more specifically talking about rope climbing in particular. But if you kind of walk into a climbing gym and you're like, I've never seen this before, like what is it? Like I said, bouldering, climbing where you climb the wall, you go up 10, maybe 15 feet, give or take a little bit, and then you kind of just fall back down onto the mats, no ropes whatsoever. Top roping, you climb the wall, but you see the rope go all the way up to the top of the wall, then back down. And then kind of the same thing with the auto belay, where it just lowers you back down to the ground. Lead climbing is where you see the climber, as they're climbing, they're clipping in to things called quick draws as they climb all the way up to the top, okay? And then board climbing is the boards usually 10, 12 feet tall with the holes that light up. Okay, so I know I kind of just like dumped a lot of information on you about the 5 different types of climbing. Real quick, talking about the grading systems. Here within the States, the 3 types of grading that are the most common is the V grade, the V scale, which is for bouldering. And then for rope climbing, there's the Yosemite system and then the French system, okay? Real quick with the bouldering, they use what is called the Vernon system. I always struggle saying that. Generally starts at V0 or VB. If you see a climb that's labeled VB or V0, that's the easiest climb that they have. It basically what it is it's a ladder. They got really good holds. Usually the function of your body, like the way you have to move your body, is very simple, designed for beginners. Or you'll see like experienced climbers do a few of those as like a warm-up. You know, it's a great way to kind of just get your body moving for the day. And then the number goes up as the difficulty. So if you see two climbs, one's a V2, one's a V6. The V6 is projected to be quite a bit harder than the V2. So pretty simple. As the numerical value increases, so does the difficulty of the climb. And so with rope climbs, generally, like I said, there's two types of grading. I really wish it wasn't that way. Me personally, I wish they would just pick one and call it a day. There's actually more than two, but that's a conversation for another day. I wish they'd just pick one and just call it a day, personally. But the Yosemite system, generally, like when you'll see the grading system, it starts with a 5, period, and then has a number after that. Okay, we're not going into why they have it set up like this, but just basically so you know what you're looking at if you see it. 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3 generally sees the E is the lowest numerical that I see. It's like it's equivalent to like a VB. It's like the most simple basic climbs that they have for rope climbs. Okay, like I said, it's basically like climbing a ladder. Okay, and then it goes up to there. You go all the way up to like 5:15, 5:17, which is like you're starting to get to like the cream of the crop. Okay, most climbs you'll see within the gym, like most climbers fall between like the 5:9 and like 5:12, because even within that, the 5:12 plus, 5:12A, 5:12B, okay, to kind of like somewhat separate. You have two climbs that are close, but one is slightly more difficult than the other. But so yeah, that's what the Yosemite decimal system, YDS, that's what that is. And then the French system, generally, I forget off the top of my head what it starts at, but it'll be like 6A plus or 7A plus, and it starts like 5, 6, 7, 8, and kind of works its way up through there. Like I said, I'm not going into like why they chose that value of grading or how it all specifically works, but just kind of the basics. If you see it, that's what it is, and it's just the way that they grade the difficulties of the climbs. Okay, and now we kind of made it to like towards the end of the video. I do have a bonus section, like I mentioned earlier, for you guys, so I hope you guys stick around and check out the end of this video. But trying to keep it concise and straight to the point, let's keep moving, okay? Your first day of climbing, we already kind of mentioned it. You know, you pay your fee, you got the waiver. First time climbing, honestly, just kind of scope the place out. You'll have different types of, even like with climbing, like you'll have flat wall, overhang, and then slab style climbing. Okay, slab, when people talk about slab, generally it's a wall less than 90 degrees, so you can actually, the wall actually kind of leans into it. It's definitely a different types, it takes a different bit of coordination to do that style climbing. But if you guys you guys will definitely see, if you guys hear people talking about it, that's what that is. Okay. But, you know, like you'll have somebody show you guys around. The basic way any type of climbing starts is you'll have one hold with one star, or you have two holds with two stars, indicating like, you know, you have both your hands go on one start or your hands on a different start. And then like you have different color foot chips, okay? And the general consensus is that one climbing route will all use the same color. If they don't, they'll have tape to kind of show like, hey, this is all one climb. Usually coordinated with color, okay? But you generally go to the start, and then most climbing routes, you go all the way to the top, and then your objective is to find the finish hold and put both hands on the finish, okay? Occasionally, you'll see like two-hand finish, or sometimes you'll go like bouldering. Occasionally, you'll go over the wall to top out. That's the way you finish. But the vast majority of the time, you'll find a hold. It'll have like a little chip underneath it that says finish, and you want to get both your hands on a securely controlled fashion, okay? If you get both hands on it and just tap it and then fall off, commonly that's not considered like a true finish, or what's known as a send. You get both hands on it, showing control, and then you dismount, fall off, climb back down, however you decide to descend. Okay, I want to start by saying thank you. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Being an amateur level YouTuber, I have a really hard time like figuring this whole thing out, just kind of getting back into it and retaining people's attention. So if you've made it this far, thank you. And I have 6 bonus tips to help you enjoy climbing, make it stress-free, and hopefully you climb for quite a while, because it's actually a really fun community-based activity, okay? Sport activity, however they define it. But 6 tips to hopefully make you get the most out of climbing, okay? So starting with number 1, I put this one as number 1 for a reason. When you start climbing, right off the get-go, work on falling, okay? Falling is it's just a part of it, okay? Kind of like skateboarding, it's inevitable, basically literally, okay? You're going to fall at some point, intentionally, a little unplanned. And the reason I say to purposely work on falling is what you really don't want to do, and most gyms will teach you this, is you learn to fall with your arms tucked, okay? Because when people fall and they stick their arm out, that's how people injure their elbows, shoulders, break collarbones, okay? You learn to fall almost a little bit more relaxed, and that helps avoid straining or getting injured, and falling with your arms tucked in, okay? Most gyms, like you'll see like little pictures that show like the falling procedure, but it's one of those things right off the get-go you really want to get ingrained in your head, like not sticking your arm out and learning how to have good fall etiquette, okay? It is one of those things, speaking from experience, you actually learn how to fall confidently. A great way to kind of see this is almost within skateboarding too. You watch people who are new to skateboarding and they fall kind of like stiff and kind of clumsy, versus you watch people who've been skateboarding 10, 15, 20 years. When they fall, they almost know how to roll and kind of like use the momentum to roll out without getting injured. Climbing's a lot of the same thing, okay? So like if something feels very unnatural, don't worry. Kind of part of the learning curve, but you'll eventually get better at it. Going right along with the second thing is, don't be afraid of looking new. Okay, I've been climbing over 5 years now, and every single time, if not almost every single time that I'm at the climbing gym, I see new people. Okay, people who go climbing by themselves, bring their significant others, bring their kids, like a big birthday party, all sorts of people. Okay, I see people who have different physical challenges. People from all walks of life. Okay, so if you're worried about being new, don't worry about it, because you're getting there. Unless you're the first person there in the morning, you're probably not the first newbie that's been there that day, okay? So don't be worried about being new. And that'll actually kind of bring me right into number 3. Bring a friend. Somebody who's experienced with climbing, or, somebody who's never been climbing. You're like, hey, look, let's go try this. And you guys are both new at it together, okay? It's almost just kind of like coking and joking, just with physical exercise. You guys will have fun, like trying to learn different things, putting different pieces of it together, and it really is like a lot of fun. So like if you're worried, a little self-conscious about going by yourself, bring somebody if you can. Like I said, a family member, a friend, significant other. Even if you're both new, you guys will actually have a lot of fun, trust me. Moving on to the next one. This one I've kind of learned the hard way quite a few times, is don't eat specifically like a big meal before climbing. Might seem a little obvious, maybe not. If you're going to eat, like if you're getting hungry but you're going climbing, eat something light like a banana, granola bar, whatever. Eat something that's going to sit light in your stomach. I've done it a few too many times. I've like lost count. Like I'll eat like a big meal or a big breakfast, and then half an hour, 20 minutes later, I'm trying to climb on the wall. Even if your stomach doesn't get upset, like I've gotten really bad heartburn, on top of feeling very lethargic and just tired, just like having a big calorie dense meal right before climbing. So that's more of just like an enjoyment rather than a safety fact. It's just like, don't eat a big meal or something that's very calorically dense right before climbing, because you just, oh my God, you'll feel like you're walking up a hill with cinder blocks on your back. Like it's not a fun time. Moving on to one of the last ones. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You guys will see people from all ages who are new or have been climbing a very, very long time, who are like godly level climbers. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. I'm not saying sit there and just drill them with questions like interrogation style, but if you're like, hey, how do I start this? Or how do you do this move to like get this? 99% of people will be glad to show you, like, oh yeah, I do this or I do that, or like you need to get your body more like in this position. Climbing is very social, even in moving into the 2020s where everyone's online and we're less and less social as a society. Climbing's still one of those things that's still very, very social. I even see people who are more introverted by nature be social at like climbing gyms or climbing events. And then the last one, tip number 6, this is one that I've personally learned myself, is after climbing, especially if you're new to climbing, your hands are not used to the wear and tear. If you stick with it, you'll start building like calluses and odd spots, like the tips of your fingers will start getting very tough and abrasive, or like the different the different pads of your fingers, you know, just from gripping onto the coarse plastics. One tip is, especially before bed, is moisturize. Makes a huge difference in terms of getting your skin, the skin on your hands to start feeling better. Like a lotion or like some sort of like hand cream to start like repairing and keeping that skin moisturized. Because up here in New England, especially in like the winter months when the air gets dry, you'll start getting the calluses build up, and then your fingers getting dry, and they'll start like splitting, or the whole callus will start like lifting and peeling off, and you'll try to like climb with it, and you have like raw skin underneath. So it's not a fun time. Like I said, I personally put moisturizer on to keep my hands from drying out, and it definitely does go a long way. That's just something that I've learned from going to the gym and climbing. That's just a piece of knowledge I'd like to share with you guys. So hopefully you guys found this video entertaining. I tried to get a good amount of information, simple and concisely, without trying to be too overwhelming. But if you made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate it. Being a small-time YouTuber, you know, trying to start my own climbing company right now. So I've been just trying to like work on that and figure that out. If you guys are wondering like what's with posting the shorts but then not fulfilling that and sporadic posting, I'm still just trying to figure stuff out. So like I said, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.